Hello and welcome to my channel, Crochet and Copy. My name is Judy. In this tutorial, we're going to learn how to make this lovely scarf. I call it the Fishbone Scarf. Why? Because we're using the herringbone single crochet to create our scarf. With the herringbone single crochet, it's a 2-row repeat. You work on the right side of work, on the back side of our work, you work reverse. You see as we go through it. When you first do it, you're like, I can't do it. But after you finish doing the scarf, for how many rows we need, you're gonna get it. No problem, all right? I also wanted to show you the back of our work when we complete it, because with this pattern, we do it when we work. We pick up the little back bar in the back of it when we're completing the herringbone single crochet. And that make it has this back to it. If not, you would get the little ridges in the back of your work. But for me, this is how I wanted to do the pattern, and this is how I wanted to get it and for it to look. So this is the front of our work again, and this is the back of our work. So if you see your work has the little ridges in the back when you're doing the pattern, you're doing it a little different than I'm doing it, okay? You could do it that way too and have the ridges in the back. That's fine if you like it that way, but I didn't want it that way. So this is how your back of your work should look. I wanted to also show you others that I created and using different kind of yarn. So this is the yarn that I use for this one. It's from the Lion brand yarn, Hometown. And this one is the super bulky 6. When I did it, it looks beautiful. It brings out that the herringbone single crochet stitch really nice. And then this is the back of it, how it looks of our work, the front of our work. I think it really brings it out. But when I tried on this scarf, it was really kind of heavy. It's a heavy fabric. It's a bulky 6, the kind of yarn. So I said, no, I can't use it, but I love the way it gives you the design. You could see it in a different color. Use, as you see, a blue, navy blue, and white. This is the other one that I made. It's just my practice to see, because when I started to do it, when you started with one strand, in the sense of one ball of yarn, because the yarn that I'm using is also Loops and Thread, and this is a medium 4 worsted weight. So it's not the bulky, and this is how you will get the herringbone look. But when you put it together with another yarn, we join 2 balls, and of course I use 2 different colors, you can see. And this is how it comes out. The beauty you get of the herringbone. It looks really nice. I think makes it, for this design and pattern, the herringbone single crochet, I think you need to have a bulky yarn. Because again, I see it's just the 4 worsted weight. This is how it looks, but the beauty of it comes out like this. Here is the measurement of our scarf. These are the supplies you're going to be using to make our scarf. The yarn we're using is from Loops and Threads. It's the Charisma Acrylic. And in this ball of yarn, you have 109 yards. The color is off-white. And this is a bulky 5 100% acrylic. So that's our yarn. Our hook we're going to be using is L11. It's the 8.00 millimeter. We're also going to be using a yarn needle. We need stitch markers. And lastly, our scissors. And that's it for supplies. And to complete our scarf, we need 3 balls of yarn. First, to get started, we need to attach our yarn to our hook. And to get our yarn attached to our hook, we use what's called a slip knot stitch. And this is how I'm comfortable in doing my slip knot stitch. But if you have a different method, you go ahead and use it. I take my yarn and I drape it over my 2 fingers. I let it fall to the back. I take my hook, put it between my 2 fingers, and I pull up a loop of yarn. I have a little knot, and I just take that little knot and I tighten it against my hook. Now we complete doing our slip knot stitch. The next step now is we need to make chains. and we need to do 18 of them. And the chain is yarn over your hook, pull through, and when you're doing your chain, keep it loose. Yarn over your hook, pull through, yarn over your hook, pull through. And so far, as you see, we did 3 of them, and they're shaping out when we do them like V's, all right? So you need 18, so go ahead and complete 18, and then we meet back up. Now I complete doing my 18 chain, and this is how I look. Now our next step is we need to put a single crochet in the second chain from our hook. This is the first chain, and this is the second chain from our hook. But what we're going to do is we're going to use the back of our chain. So turn your chain to the back so you can see that you can work with it. And this, remember, is the first, so the second is this one right here. So we're going to go in here. And for that chain, we're going to put a single crochet. So a single crochet is go into that chain, pull up a loop of yarn, 2 loops of yarn on your hook, yarn over your hook, and pull straight across 2 of them at the same time. And again, remember, keep everything loose as we work. And here now, so we don't lose our spot as we go along, we're going to put our first stitch marker right there. And that's for our first single crochet made. Now for the remaining chain that we have, we're going to do the herringbone single crochet. So to do the herringbone single crochet, we use the single crochet we just did. And we're going to use the little leg right here, or that little bar right here of that single crochet. So you're going to go through that with your hook. Don't pick up a loop yet. Go into the next chain. Now you pull up a loop. See, we have 3 loops in our hook. And when you're doing it, make sure that you pull up that loop the height of the other loops that we have on our hook. Okay, as we work. And that will give us a good tension that we could work with. So you're going to yarn over, and to complete the herringbone single crochet, you just pull across all 3 loops that we have on our hook. There you go. So that's our first herringbone single crochet we completed. Let's do another one together. So now we're looking at, you have the top part of the herringbone single crochet, and then you have another slant leg here, but we're going to use this one here that's the farthest from our hook. You go into that leg, and then you go into the next chain, pull up a loop, you have 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, and you pull straight across. One more time I'll show you. So again, go into that leg or that bar there, and then go into the chain. Then you pull up your loop. Remember, pull it up to the height of the other loops we have on our hook, yarn over, pull straight across all 3 of them at the same time. And that's it. So you're going to do that till you get to the end, and then we meet back up. So now we finish completing doing row 1, and this is how we look. And for the completion of row 1, we have 17 stitches, all right, when you complete doing our pattern. So row 1 will be considered the right side of our work. And here what I like to do too, so because we're going to be working in rows, we're going to go up so I don't lose my spot or count if somebody talk to me or something while I'm working. What I like to do is I like to take one of the stitch marker. I'm going to take it and I'm going to just eyeball it in the center of my work and put it around the post of one of my stitch. Go around it and just leave it right there. That's the back and this is the front, because this is the front of our work, row 1. And before we move on to row 2, I just wanted to show you how we're starting to look with how you could count your stitch. They shape like V's. So we have them facing us this way. When we turn our work, I'll show you how it looks. And then you can see, because then when you look at it from this angle, it also looks like you have the single crochet V's this way. But we're going to go on to that. Don't worry, I'll show you about that. So to start row 2, you're going to chain 1 and then we're going to turn our work. So for the first stitch, we're going to do a single crochet but in reverse. So now when you look at it, for row 1, our single crochet are here. These, the V shape, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then here is those little bars in the back of when we did the herringbone. That's how it comes out. That's how we look at it. Although when you look at it from this angle, it looks like our single crochet. You could count them that way. 1, 2, because you have the shape of the V. But that's the actual little bars in the back of the single crochet that gives that pattern. So single crochet look that way, and you turn it that way, it looks like the single crochet also. And whenever we're working in the reverse for the herringbone, we're going to must keep our working yarn in the front of our work. I'll show you as we go along. And for this pattern, we're also going to be working in our little bars in the back of our work, all right? Because the single crochet is here, up here, and the little bars are in the back here. So now you're going to take your hook and tilt your work so you can see it towards you. And the first single crochet is right here. So we're going to go through that from the reverse, and you're going to go underneath that bar also too. So here, show you this way. So you have the loop of the single crochet, 1, 2, and then the back bar. You're also going to go under that. And remember, keep your working yarn in the front of our work. Now you're going to tilt your hook, and you're going to pull up a loop of yarn and try to keep them loose. Remember, you have those 2 loops of yarn on your hook, yarn over, and you pull straight across 2 of them. So that's the single crochet in reverse. And I'm opening this up because that's the top of that single crochet in reverse. I put it here, my stitch marker, so I don't lose my spot. So I have my stitch marker to start the row and the end of the row. And now for the remainder of the stitch that we have for our row to complete it, we're going to do the in reverse herringbone single crochet. Because remember, we turn our work so it's facing, we're the back of our work, but we have to complete the herringbone single crochet, and we got to go from the front of our work and work from there. So the herringbone single crochet is, I told you, basically everything that we did from row 1 we're going to do now in reverse. You find that leg of that first single crochet we just made, you put your hook under there, and then you go underneath the next stitch. That's the single crochet. So it's right here, that single crochet. Go underneath that. And remember, you're keeping your working yarn in the front. And also you find that bar that's in the back of our work right here, a little bar. You go through that too. So you have that much yarn on your hook. 3 of them. Pull up that loop of yarn. Pull it to the height of the other loops that we have on our hook. Yarn over, and you pull straight across. I know it takes a little bit getting used to, but by the time you finish doing this scarf, you will get it down pat, because we need quite a few rows, but we get there. I'll show you. So again, go into that leg of that herringbone single crochet we just finished completing in reverse. You find that leg, and then you go into the single crochet and into that bar, and you pull up a loop, 3 loops of yarn on your hook, pull up that last loop, the height of the other loops on our hook, yarn over, pull straight across. There you go. So that's how we're looking as we move along. So I'll show you one more time. And remember, we're working in reverse with everything that we're doing. So you grab that leg from that herringbone single crochet in reverse we just did, go into that single crochet the next stitch and that bar in the front of our work, and then pull a loop up. And you see when you're pulling the loop up, also too, how I do it, I turn my hook as I go in, and I turn it to face up, and then yarn over, and you pull straight across. So now go ahead and follow that pattern till we have 1 stitch remaining. And of course, remember our stitch marker, remind us where our last stitch is, and I'll show you what to do there. So now I made it to where our last stitch will be. And remember when we started with a single crochet. We didn't start with the herringbone single crochet. So we don't have any bars in the back of our work. We can't go under it because we don't have it, all right? So when we work, we're going to do the herringbone in reverse single crochet, but there's no bar in the back to use. So go into that leg of that stitch and just go into that single crochet and then complete it in reverse herringbone single crochet that way, and that's it. So remember, the last stitch won't have the bar in the back to go through. So that's it. So we completed row 2, and that's how we're looking. And to complete row 2, we still have our 17 stitches, okay? So now to do row 3, we're going to chain our 1 and turn our work. For that first stitch that's right here, we're going to put 1 single crochet there to start this row. And also you're going to grab this bar in the back of our single crochet, because this is our single crochet facing us in the front, and then the bar is in the back here. So we're going to work through that also, okay? So you go into the single crochet and that back bar, and we're going to do a regular single crochet. And keep your loops of yarn loose on your hook. And then I didn't take out my stitch marker because we're using such a nice big hook. I could fit right there in the yarn and we're loose. So I take out my stitch marker from there, and now I put it back up here. I'm going to put it on the top of our stitch right there. And that's it for our first stitch to start row 3. Now for our remaining stitch that we have, we're going to do the herringbone single crochet. And the last stitch I'm going to show you, and of course our stitch marker is reminding us that's our last stitch for this row to do. I'll show you what we do when we get there, all right? So now again, I'll show you how to do the herringbone single crochet. Find that leg, go underneath, because remember it's a single crochet and the bar that we have in the back of our work. Right there, so you got that 3 loops again. Remember, everything we're doing is the same, it's just the different direction we do it in. So now we're in front of our work. Pull up that loop, yarn over, pull across. Show you one more time. Grab that leg in the front, go into the single crochet and that bar in the back. Pull up that loop, yarn over, pull across. And here the thing is, if you don't pull up that bar in the back, you see, let me do a couple and I'll show you how it looks when you know you don't pull up that bar in the back. Okay, so I did a couple of the herringbone single crochet and I did not grab the little bar in the back. And you see the difference. For right here, you could see it. They're there, but here when we grab them, you see the difference of it. Because if you do without grabbing the little bar in the back, you will have that ridge pattern in the back of your work. But for this pattern, for this scarf, I do not want to have the ridge, so that's why we're grabbing that little bar in the back. So it happened to me before. I dropped one of my stitch. I had to take out that row and start over. You could see it when you finish the row. It gives you a little ridge in the back of our work. So just be careful of that. Make sure you grab those little bars, and that's why I'm telling you to do that in this pattern. So now go ahead and work till you have 1 stitch remain, and then we meet back up and I'll show you what to do there. So now I made it to where my last stitch is to do. So we're going to do the herringbone single crochet. So you're going to grab the front bar, remember, of that herringbone that we just complete. I take out my stitch marker and I go in there. You don't have to take it out if you could fit your hook on there. I'll take it out though. And then you're just going to go into that single crochet because there's no back bar to go with it. All right, when we completed that, it doesn't have a back bar, so just go into the single crochet. You have those 2 loops to go through, pull up that loop. Now you have 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, and just complete it. And there you go. So that's our completion of row 3. And also to remember, we're not increasing any stitch or decreasing any stitch, so we're always going to end off our row with 17 stitches. So I don't want to lose my spot. Hold on, let me just pull up. So this is how we're looking so far. I think it looks so beautiful. I love the stitch, love it. There you go. And this is the back of our work. Now for row 4 and the other remaining rows we need, I'm not going to show you how to do it because it's exactly what we did. Because remember, this pattern is a 2-row repeat. So you're going to repeat row 2 and row 3. So now we're going to move on to row 4. So you're going to chain your 1, turn your work, and you repeat what we did for row 2. And that's going to be in reverse. So all your even rows are going to be in reverse. And then when you get to row 5, you chain your 1, turn your work, of course, and you do what we did for row 3. Okay, so that's all you're going to do. So go ahead and work till you get all the way up to row 93. So now that we made it up to row 93, we're in front of our work, and that's it for our rows. If you want to make your scarf longer, you just keep on adding more rows. It's all up to you. But I'm stopping here, so I'll show you how we fasten off. So all we're going to do is do a chain, and that's it. And then I'm just going to pull up a little tail, nice little size, so I could weave it in, and that's it. But I'm going to grab my scissors and cut it off, and that's it for our rows that we need for our scarf. So I went ahead and I cut off my yarn. So now grab my yarn needle, and we're just gonna, I'm going to show you how I tuck in my ends, and that's it. All right, so I'm just going to pull on that chain that we made. So I'm going to flip it in the back because I want to tuck in my ends in the back. So I'm going to take my yarn needle and just go to the side of that stitch and a couple of the stitch underneath, because when we do this, we just want to make sure we make our work look nice as we tuck in our little tail that we have. All right, so you're going to go underneath. Okay, I think I did that enough. So I'm just going to pull it through here, and I'm just going to grab my scissors and cut off that little part right there, and that should hold it nicely. So what you go ahead and do, because that's one tail that we end off with, and remember the tail that we started with we have, and all the other tails that we have when we join our ball of yarn, you go ahead and you tuck them in, and then we meet back up. Now the next part we're going to do is the fringe. So I'm going to go ahead and cut 18 inches. So you go ahead and do that. Cut 18 inches for our fringe with our yarn. So now for our fringe, I have 3 of our strand of yarn together. That's what we're going to use. So I make sure that, because of course when I cut it, it's not all even. So I make sure one end is even, and then you fold it in half. And you take your hook. Going to start at this end, and of course you see I still have my stitch marker, so you know this is the front of my work where we started, and you find that stitch right there, put your hook in there, and then take your 3 loops of yarn that we have on our hook, the strand of yarn, and you're going to hold on to it tight and pull through, and make sure you have your 3 loops. Pull it enough with your hands now, and just take it, grab it, and you're going to make a little knot, and you pull that little knot against your fabric and your scarf, and that's it. I'll show you how to do it again. All right, just let me grab 3 more. So I have my 3 strands that I'm going to use as my fringe, and I'm going to fold it in half, and I'm holding them together. Fine. I'm not going to go into the next stitch right next to it. I'm going to go over. So I'm skipping a stitch, go into the next stitch, and then put my hook through it. We use our hook as our guide to help us. Hold on tight to it, because with 3 it could come loose, so hold on to it tight and pull through that stitch. Put down my hook and then open it up with your hand since we have it through that stitch. Pull your little tails through and you just give it a knot, and that's all it is to do the fringe. So keep on doing that. Remember, you skip this one because it's right next to it. Go into the next one. I just want to show you I did the other one already, and this is how it looks. I have to clean up the end of it, of course. I have to trim it up, but I got them in. And this is the back of it, how it looks. This is the front of how it looks. So that's it. We're all finished. We put on our fringe. Yeah, we did. We did awesome work. Thank you for watching. I had fun showing you how to make it, and I hope you had fun making it with me. Till next time. Bye-bye.